Hey everybody, this is Matt with We're in the Rockies. Thanks for tuning in. It's really common for people to visit Zion National Park and Bryce National Park on the same trip because they're fairly close to each other. But did you know there are many things that you can do in between the two parks? So in this video, I'm going to give you 8 ideas of things to do. So the first thing is the Moqui Cave. This is a little museum that is built into a natural cave, and as you can see, they've built some rock around it to make it look like an ancient Native American structure.
The temperature is nice and cool in here, which is beautiful. It's about 60 to 70 degrees year round.
Once inside, you'll find that they have an eclectic collection of things like these dinosaur tracks from some nearby red rock. If you walk through this little teepee here, you get into a dark room. And they've collected all these rocks that glow in the dark, which is pretty cool. They have other things like trilobites and fossils and rocks and gems. This one is carved in the shape of a buffalo. They also have Native American artifacts. This here is a bar, so this part of the cave used to be a drinking bar. A lot of Hollywood stars would come here to shoot Western movies, and they would come to the Moqui Cave to drink on their free time. The cave was established by a guy named Garth Chamberlain quite a while ago, and he actually played football for BYU and later for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, when he first created the cave, he had a dinosaur head above the entrance. It was quite a roadside attraction, but apparently the kids took that down in the 90s. And today we're left with the Stegosaurus sitting outside. Right next to the Moqui Cave is something called the Moqui Caverns. This is really right next door. It is not part of the Moqui Cave. You do not have to pay to go climb into these little caverns. What you do is you park out there on the main road, you scramble up this little slick rock hill. Slick rock is often a misnomer. It's actually not usually slick. It's pretty easy to walk on, but it is a bit of a scramble, so you probably want to bring tennis shoes. You can see it's quite sandy here. And apparently that's what this cave was used for, is they mined it for sand for glass. That's my understanding anyway. The confusing thing about this is it's often called the Moqui Cave because it's right next to the Moqui Cave Museum. But if you go there today, remember that you can go to the Moqui Cave Museum and pay. You can also go to these Moqui Caverns for free and just scramble around. They literally only take about a minute to walk through, but they are kind of a fun little adventure. It's very, very sandy in there. You have to keep an eye on the little ones because there is a sheer drop off here that they could fall off if they're not paying attention. A bunch of people have written their names and other things in the walls. Please do not do that if you visit. But the walls are just so sandy and flaky that it must be a real temptation for a lot of people to write their names in there. This was a real fun little stop for our kids. They got to play in the sand and put their feet in there. And then they had some little tunnels that they could crawl through. And then strangely, on our way out, we found this car that is buried in sand. I have no idea what the story is here behind this car. Our next stop is the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. This is in Kanab, Utah, which is close to these sites here. I don't have a lot of footage of this, but I did want to bring it up because this is one of the largest animal rescue operations in the entire country. They will give you a free tour of the area. They have cats, dogs, horses, and tons of other animals. And you can even go there and volunteer if you'd like. So if you love animals and you're in the area, this is a must-see. Our next stop is the Belly of the Dragon. What a cool name. This is a man-made tunnel that is underneath the highway and was created so that water could flow through there. It's a fun little stop and it literally only takes about a minute to walk through it.
I love it. It is way fun. Very cool.
So this is like the perfect hike for our family because it was literally 1 minute each way.
Oh yeah, and like kids were in here with their red lights to make it look even spookier, and you feel like you're in the belly of something. It's really cool.
Here again, people like to carve things into the easy sandstone walls. I wouldn't do it. I don't know if it's outlawed or anything like that. These are man-made structures, so let's not get too up in arms about this. As I mentioned, it only takes about a minute to walk through it. You can use your phone's light for a little flashlight if you need to, but you can actually see the light on the other end of the tunnel.
Yeah, every Halloween, my grandma and dad just clear this message.
Our next stop is Little Hollywood Museum. This is located in Kanab, so a lot of these sites are near Kanab, and Kanab is sometimes used as a jumping off spot between Bryce and Zion. Here at the Little Hollywood Museum, they have preserved many different Hollywood sets from Western movies that were shot over the years in Kanab. Kanab was once called Little Hollywood because there were over 100 Western movies that were shot in and around Kanab, Utah. This set here is from the movie The Outlaw Josie Wales. They have plenty of other sets as well, and it's just kind of fun for the kids to be able to wander around and act like they're in jail and act like they're part of the Old West. Our next stop is Red Canyon, which is right by Bryce Canyon. So what we did is we rented e-bikes in Bryce Canyon City, and then we rode them on a biking path all the way over here to Red Canyon, and it was gorgeous. Okay,
All right.
this one's a little tricky, huh?
I'm gonna decapitate Molly.
Two of our kids were too small to get their own e-bikes, so Cheryl lugged them around for a while. But after we got there, you can park and climb up. You can scramble up the rocks here to these hoodoo features and just meander around and hide out and play. There are actually a lot of hikes at Red Canyon, but we pretty much just played on the rocks.
These rocks make me want to go on Thunder Mountain Railroad. I want to go to Diz. Although these e-bikes are pretty sweet. It's like my dream come true.
Unfortunately for Cheryl, we made a pact we would only blow our money on Disneyland once every other year. Okay, our next stop is Cedar Breaks National Monument. So this is located near Cedar City. Cedar City is a place that some people use as a jumping off point to see Zion and Bryce. They'll actually stay in Cedar City the whole time. The drive to Cedar Breaks is gorgeous. Now we went there during the fall, so it was changing trees and all that, but it was really pretty. Cedar Breaks is over 10,000 feet in elevation. It's incredibly high, so the visiting season is really short. It's just the summer season. Even then, it can be pretty cold and windy like it was when we visited. Cedar Breaks is Bryce Canyon Jr. It's got these hoodoos and red rock and all that. It doesn't have as many hoodoos as Bryce does, but the colors are actually probably more vivid. There's more deeper reds, and then you can see that there's some white hoodoos as well. It's really a nice underrated site. Now, in the old days, travelers would get off the railroad at Cedar City, and then they would get on a tour bus, and they would go to Cedar Breaks, Zion, Bryce, and the Grand Canyon. It was part of the Grand Tour is what they called it. And Cedar Breaks was part of that tour, and they even had a lodge there at Cedar Breaks. That lodge has since been torn down, and now with the automobile, people don't really quite go on the same circular tour that they used to, so Cedar Breaks is really lesser visited. And again, don't forget about the drive to and from Cedar Breaks, which is also really pretty. Our next stop is Parowan, Utah, which is a cute little town of 3,000 people. Now, we happened to visit here in October during Halloween, and they had a great little Halloween atmosphere around the town with all these cool little decorations.
We came across this amazing surprise. We've got pumpkins of Parowan. So all along this main road, there are little pumpkins and Halloween decorations all along the street. So do you want to get out and stretch your legs and get in the spirit of Halloween? Hop out of your car and check these out.
This area was initially inhabited by Fremont and Anasazi Indians. Then the Spanish came through this area exploring, and then after the Civil War, the United States started exploring through this area. This is a memorial for John C. Fremont. He explored much of the West and was the first Republican that ran for president in the United States in 1856, just 4 years before Abraham Lincoln was elected as the first Republican president. John C. Fremont paved the way for Abraham Lincoln to become the first Republican president. He came through this area exploring, and later the Mormons settled this area because there was iron here. So you notice Cedar Breaks had all that red. Well, that's iron, and the Mormons came down to create an iron mission. We happened upon this cool little antique store owned by Joanne Jensen. Okay, so we were just cruising through Parowan and we discovered this cool little treasure here. So this shop is called the Rusty Bucket.
The Rusty Bucket.
How long has it been here?
This is our year mark. We had antiques, vintage, eclectic, collectibles. Every room in the house has a different theme.
And it's kind of fun, like, so there's more shops. This is
That's
an
right.
old motel, and they've got just a little shop in each of these rooms.
She even had a little pumpkin walk for our kiddos. And she also had a little yard sale where we found some treasures. If you happen to visit Parowan, make sure to check out the Rusty Bucket. You also need to check out the Old Rock Church. So this church was built in the 1860s. It held its first meeting for the Latter-day Saints in 1870 and was attended by the prophet Brigham Young. This is now a museum, but is a must-see because it has got to be one of the oldest historical buildings in the entire West. Like the Cat in the Hat here, we hope that you get to some amazing places as well. If you're planning a trip to southern Utah, make sure to check out our travel guides. We've also written a blog post with more details about the places mentioned in this video. We'll put a link in the description. If you like this video, please click that thumbs up for us. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.